Hi everyone, Shannon with Apogee the Moon, bringing you a weekly forecast for Saturday today. Unfortunately, I'm a little late getting this out. September 26th through October 2nd, Friday, October 2nd. So this week, it's going to be a very busy week, very interesting week, a little bit of turmoil, a little bit of a lot. But I mean, Saturn goes direct, so let's see what Saturn will have to say in the coming weeks as he goes direct and moves forward. There's going to be that ongoing square, and that comes exact again on September 29th. So we'll talk about it. So let's jump in. So I have my PowerPoint up. Let's get this shared. Oh, where? All right. So here it is. No exact aspects on Saturday, besides a quincunx to Pluto, but I'm not going to talk about those. Those are minor aspects, just irritation points and uncomfortable things. So we'll talk about Mercury ingressing into Scorpio. So Mercury in the sign of Libra is very much it's not at home, but it's an air sign. So it's a triplicity, and it's also in duplicity, and it's comfortable there because it's an air sign. It's able to speak the way it needs to speak. It's going to be very diplomatic. But when Mercury moves into Scorpio, whoo, very focused, very laser-like, very obsessed, this could find people. I mean, I have a child with Mercury in Scorpio retrograde, no less. This placement is very focused, very much does not miss a detail. And I will give you a personal story with Mercury retrograde. This is how much they pay attention to things. My daughter has Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and yesterday, the reason I didn't film the video yesterday was because we had to go to the dentist's office, and I logged on to my regular daily work and early and got things done that I needed to get done. But we were talking about laughing gas, and she was very adamant that she didn't want laughing gas. She's only 7. She'll be 8 in November. And she caught on to the fact that I told the doctors that we would give her laughing gas to get her calm. And she was very adamant after that. She looked at me and she said, "Mommy, I do not want laughing gas. And I know that you're going to tell them to give it to me, and I don't want it. And I know that you guys had a silent conversation with your eyeballs." This is how much Scorpio retrograde, Mercury in Scorpio retrograde pays attention. They notice things. So we didn't get that past her, so she ended up not getting laughing gas. She had to have some stuff done to her teeth. She personally also has Mars in her 6th house, which is not a very good placement for Mars. Anyway, so Mercury in Scorpio, very focused, very much does not miss the details. Very, very focused, understands those subtle, nuanced things, even conversations with the eyeballs, right? I mean, you can't get much more Mercury in Scorpio than understanding that the eyeballs can talk. So there is that. So just be cognizant that as Mercury moves into Scorpio, it's still in shadow because it goes retrograde at 11 degrees of Scorpio. Know that this is area that we're going to have to cover again in the coming weeks as he goes retrograde and goes back into Libra. But in Scorpio, very much focused, very much paying attention to those finite details, very much does not want to miss anything because you need all of the pieces to get that big picture view. And I do like Mercury in Scorpio. Even though I can't get anything past, I can't lie to this kid. She literally understands human nature at 7, almost 8 years old. It's great. So On September 28th, we have Venus trining Mars, which is a really good influence. Mars is kind of going through the ringer right now where he wants to go, go, go. Saturn's saying no, no, no. Venus in trine with Mars from Leo is offering up. It's a triplicity for Mars. You know, it's also in, Venus is in Mars decan in terms of where she is, because she is about to move out of Leo at the end of the week. But right now, she's still stronger in Leo. She's very much goal oriented. She's very much that boss lady energy that I talked about last week or a couple weeks ago. And she's, even though it's not a triplicity for her, and it is still a duplicity because Leo is a masculine, but Venus very much is stronger. I've noticed Venus in Leo myself as a Leo rising. I've noticed that I definitely, I mean, it's different when it's your rising sign, but I've noticed that Venus in Leo, just in and of itself, there's more confidence, there's more, no, this is really how it is. So, but it's not over and in your face like you would think. It's more or less, no, this is just how it is, and you know, this is what we're gonna do, and we're just gonna go do it. At least that's what I've noticed with Venus and Leo for me. So trine Mars, this is offering support to Mars. This is you know, this is a good energy. This can see relationships having a little bit of an easier time, you know, before Venus moves into Virgo. This can see, you know, aligning what your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, you know, your passions, that fire energy, and maybe putting your money where your mouth is, in a sense, in terms of, you know, Venus rules relationships and money. And in Leo, she is very much that boss energy, like taking charge and doing things her way and offering support through a passionate endeavor, you know, that type of thing. So then on September 29th, we have Saturn stationing direct. So we've been feeling this energy for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. You know, it's an outer planet, you know, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, all those planets, they're outer planets. When they station, they really station, and it takes a few weeks for them to move one way or the other. So you feel it. It's very oppressive. It's very heavy. Even if it's not overt and in your face, there could be a mental sense of feeling burdened, feeling oppressed, feeling like there's things that are just weighing heavy on your mind. And, you know, with Saturn going direct, this is it. Okay, so this is the last time that Saturn will be going over these last 5 degrees of Capricorn for the next 30 years. So if this area of your chart is something, it's been something that you've been working on for the last 2.5, 3 years anyway, this is it. You either take care of it over the course of the next coming couple of months, or it's something that's going to still be present and still be there in your life over the course of the next 30 years. So take care of it now, get things situated, use that Saturnian energy of diligence and following the rules. And, you know, I mean, I keep saying diligence, that's the word that keeps coming into mind, but like that, you need to be focused, you need to be diligent, you need to make sure that you're taking it step by step by step with Saturn. And Saturn, if you're doing this, Saturn does offer rewards. So it's Saturn is not a planet that is going to, it doesn't do things for no reason, right? Like the Saturn areas of our lives, or where Saturn transits in our lives, feeling that heavy, oppressive, burdensome energy, it's there for a reason. It's there to show you the restrictions and the limitations that you face and asks you to go higher, right? Saturn is very much a planet that is, I mean, it's about doing things the right way and being just and right. That's just what Saturn is. Saturn is not this, you know, people are afraid of Saturn. People are afraid of you know, Saturn rules time, Saturn rules death, Saturn rules, you know, it's people are afraid of restrictions. People are afraid of being bound. People are afraid of being, you know, of dying, really. I mean, Saturn is death too, right? So people are afraid of that. But ultimately, like, my viewpoint, I'm not afraid of death. I personally am more afraid of being oppressed and held back in life, because death is a transformation. Death is a release from the restrictive limitation of this body, right? So to me, that's not, and I don't want to sound flippant when I say that, you know, being afraid of death is almost like being afraid of a sunrise, because it's going to happen no matter what. You, like, the best line that I can say, the best thing that really kind of hit it home for me when I was much younger, not like I'm ancient or anything, but like when I was younger, and I'll date myself here, I was a very young adult, maybe not even an adult, when Van Wilder, the movie, came out with Ryan Reynolds. And one of the things that his character says in the movie is, don't take life too seriously. You're never going to get out alive. And things like that, that just come out of nowhere, like just that one statement out of that movie, you know, I was like, whoa, that is so true. And perspective shift, right? So you have to think about things where Saturn is kind of that perspective shift in a way, where you need to look at something and it's going to take all of your attention. It's going to take all of your willpower. It's going to take time. That's what Saturn is. And Saturn moving direct, we've been reviewing an area of our life, and now it's going to be go time. Not right now, right? Because we still have, Saturn is stationed. He is not moving. He is very heavy. Very much that Saturn influence right now, where it seems like time has slowed down right now. And that's fine, because once he starts moving, that's when things are going to start getting going. It might not be instantaneous, because Saturn is not instantaneous. It's very much going to take time and going to take willpower and effort on everyone's part, where Saturn is in their chart right now. So then we have the Sun in opposition to Chiron. This can see a balance point needing to be struck between where it is that Chiron is moving through Aries, feeling wounded, feeling hurt, feeling like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? Where did this wound come from? You know, and the Sun shedding light on this area of our chart in terms of being in Libra, showing us where that balance point should be, showing us where the diplomacy needs to be in order to heal this Chiron over here. So there is that coming up. We have Mars retrograde squaring Saturn direct now. So the first pass of Mars square Saturn, Mars was direct, Saturn was retrograde. Now we have the reverse of that. We have Mars retrograde and Saturn direct. And I hope I said that the correct way, because my brain doesn't feel like it's working on, it's not firing on all 10 cylinders this morning, let's just put it that way. So on October 1st, moving on, we do have the full moon in Aries. Now the full moon is conjunct by a degree or two, because I believe Chiron is at 7 degrees and the moon and the sun are going to be at 9 degrees respectively of Aries and Libra. This is going to be a very intense full moon. This is also in terms of, if you're a moonology person or you're somebody that follows the cycles of the moons, you know that for the new moon in Aries that we had back in March, and think about what was going on in the world in March, we now have the full moon happening in Aries, and it is now October. So there is that dichotomy of new and full moons in specific signs. So every time you have a new moon in a sign, 6 months later, you'll have a full moon in that sign. So that is a culmination point. That is a completion point. And it may not even have to do with the new moon that happened in March. It could have been the new moon 2 years ago in March in Aries. You know, it's every cycle is different for everyone depending on where they are in their cycle, right? So we'll get into what it means for all signs in terms of the full moon and Chiron, because that's what I'm going to be focusing on this week. So then on October 2nd, we do have Venus ingressing into Virgo. We will see a shift in terms of money and materials, and in terms of relationships with people, from more lighthearted or, you know, Venus in Leo, lighthearted, fun, playful, joyful, to very detailed, nitpicky, critical. You know, nitpicky has a kind of a negative connotation to it. Critical, though, could have a positive or negative depending, because it gives you a critical eye on your relationships. This gives you something that you can focus on and say, okay, well, this detail and this detail, these don't really make sense right now. What's going on with this with you? So this is how I'm seeing the situation, and how are you seeing the situation, kind of thing. That's Venus. So without further ado, let us jump into each sign. And so I am going to be focusing on the full moon in Aries. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this is kind of an intense period for you right now. You have Mars retrograde in your sign. You have a full moon. You have Chiron, depending on where your rising sign is. I mean, 1st and 7th house. This is you, your body. This is yourself. This full moon can affect all areas of your life in terms of the angles, right? Because if your rising sign is anywhere from 4 degrees of Aries to, well, no, let's see. So the moon is at 9. I'll do a 3-degree orb. So we'll go back 3 degrees from 9. So 6 degrees to 12 degrees of Aries. If your rising sign is between 6 and 12, I would say that this is definitely going to be affecting you on a very personal level, depending too on where your Chiron is, because your personal Chiron, right? So where Chiron is in our charts is where we ourselves are wounded. The placement of Chiron has to do, the sign placement is just a general theme in terms of the generation in which you were born, but the house placement is very unique to you, because all the planets are constantly moving. The constellation, you know, the Earth is constantly rotating, so the constellations and the signs like Aries and Capricorn and all that, they're all constantly shifting, right? So depending on what your rising sign is, if you are an Aries rising and say you do have Chiron in Aries, this is really going to be very, very emotional, because the moon is our emotions. The moon is what we need to feel safe. The moon is, you know, where our unconscious habits lie. And when it's a full moon, it brings that to light. Hold on a sec, I'm sorry. Let's sip of my coffee and try to get my throat moving here. So this could be all aspects of your life in terms of if it's conjunct your rising sign between 6 and 12 degrees, this is going to affect you very heavily, especially with Chiron there. This could see, you know, people at these early degrees of Aries, this could see you getting physically hurt, but this could see emotionally, this could see you trying to balance out your relationships with people. Maybe you've been really focused on relationships. You've been really focusing on your 7th house, because your 7th house is Libra. The sun has been there. Mercury has been there. You know, you're really focused. You're focusing your energy and your thoughts on your relationships. And now it's time to come back into balance and focusing on your needs, your wants, your desires, and what you can do to help heal yourself, to help heal your relationships with others. that's what this Chiron and full moon and Chiron is about in terms of this, my interpretation of it. So all things, you know, partnerships, this is one-on-one relationships, business partnerships, marriage partnerships, life partners, people that have been in your life for a very long time. You know, anyone that you have a contractual relationship with, whether or not that's a marriage partner or a business partner. So it's going to be intense for you. It's going to be, there could be, you know, crisis in terms of, it's a full moon, crisis, culmination, releasing and letting go, completion of something. Maybe you've been working on, you know, your relationships, and, you know, it goes one way and you're like, oh, you know, we're done. Or the reverse of that, right? Depending on what you've been working on, depending on what you've been doing in your relationships. It could be that maybe you're going to take that jump and start start a contractual relationship with someone or a business partner or whatnot. And it's time to take that leap because you've completed everything that you need to complete, or you're ending it, right? So it's very personal to everyone. And it's not like a one size fits all. It depends too on what aspects are being made to this full moon. And it's definitely going to be a very intense full moon, especially with Saturn stationed direct just the day before. He's not moving in the sky. Mars retrograde, squaring Saturn in Capricorn. So there's a lot of focus on the Aries part of our life right now. And if you're an Aries rising, Aries sun, even Aries moon, you know, this could see you very fired up. This could see you very angry or very on your soapbox in terms of taking charge and trying to lead the way to say, no, this is how things need to be done. But you want to kind of bring that back down and bring it into balance a little bit, especially with the fact that you don't necessarily want to burn all the bridges to the relationships that you have with people. You want to, you know, kind of balance out, but what's good for you in terms of setting boundaries, in terms of setting emotional boundaries even, and saying, no, you know what, this isn't working for me. I need to go here. So there is that. So we'll move on to Taurus. And the full moon in Aries and Taurus, this is your 12th and your 6th house. So this is, the 12th house is things that are behind the scenes, things that, I mean, poor Taurus, you guys have probably been having nightmares like crazy. You know, and maybe hospital visits, or, you know, anything behind the scenes, ashrams, prisons, retreat centers, what is it? It's like you go through therapy when you're there. Detox, right? This could be seeing Taurus people going to detox, right? I mean, Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Taurus moon, but mostly the rising, because that would definitely be the 12th house in that. But this full moon is seeing a push-pull between, you know, your daily routines, your health, your wellness, because your 6th house is Libra, where the sun is. This is putting a focus on what you're putting into your body, how you're moving your body, you know, what your routine is like, what your daily habits are like, what you do on a daily basis, you know, in terms of either your daily work and how you serve the community that you're in, or the larger world around you. This can see you working on, you know, moving your body, right, and focusing on health and wellness, or having to go to the other end of that and take a break and be in silence, be in solitude, be in seclusion, be away from the world. But I mean, there could be, this could also be, you know, someone in your life having to take a break from the world, right? Like the 12th house is that it's considered a malefic house. It's a house of endings, but it's a house of karma. It's a house of letting go, and it's a house of surrender, right? So this is a very spiritual house. It's also the house of dreams. So maybe, you know, over the last few weeks, the build up to this full moon in Aries, and with Aries being retrograding and this moon being conjunct Chiron, you've seen an uptick in your dream life. You've seen an uptick in nightmares, or you've seen an uptick in more prophetic dreams where you have a dream and then like a few days later something happens, and it's like deja vu where it's happening, right? So, and just as the dream said it would. So there's that too. These are also like our habits versus our addictions. Like, where is it in Taurus's life? Like, where is it where this Chiron and full moon and Mars is retrograde here in your 12th house? Where is it that you're revising and coming to a crisis point in terms of your addiction habits, in terms of your emotional addictions as well? Because this is the full moon. The moon is emotions. This is what we need to feel safe and secure. This is what our unconscious habits and issues that we have going on beneath the surface. So where is it that Taurus rising people especially need to understand, well, you know, I do this all the time. Why do I do this? How can I get to the bottom of this? How can I free myself from this habit? How can I stop doing this thing that I do all the time to self-sabotage myself in terms of this area of my life? So sun, moon, rising, Taurus, I mean, 12th house, 6th house, right? Like, you need to take care of you, yourself, and your daily mental wellness as well. With it being 6th house, this is also our mental wellness and where we maybe don't have the healthiest thought patterns, and we need to take care of that as well. So if you need help, by all means, seek help with this. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, this is your 11th and your 5th house. So the focus here is with the full moon in Aries in your 11th house. This is your social status. This is your group associations. This is your hobbies. This is the money that you make from that 10th house of career, right? So your 11th house is not just your hopes, your wishes, and your dreams, but it's also the income from that 10th house that's just before it, right? So for you, that you could see this crisis point, especially with the moon conjunct Chiron in your 11th house. This could see a crisis point in terms of where it is that you need to focus on something going on because you've been hurt in terms of the people that you associate with because you want to associate with them. Maybe it's time, or maybe you've pulled back over these last several months since that new moon in Aries. Maybe you've pulled back and now it's a time to get back out there, right? To show what you've been working on in terms of those 5th house things, those hobbies that you have, that you love to do because you love to do them. And now you're working, say you have a small business, and now you're working on getting back out there into the social setting, into the groups that you've associated with, and really pushing hard to get your hobby off the ground in terms of making a career out of it, right? So there is that as well if you're a Gemini rising and you have a small business. So this could be a completion point this coming week, could be a crisis point. Maybe there's been issues surrounding, with Mars retrograde there too, surrounding revising what's going on with your social groups. Maybe you don't like where you are in life. Maybe you don't like your status in life and you're trying to change that. Maybe you've had a push-pull with your kids even, and how you're known as a parent. Maybe you've been revising that. I mean, some Gemini risings could have been going through a divorce right now, right? That with that heavy stellium in 8th house, you know, either divorced or getting married, and now everything is changing. With this full moon here, this is trying to show you where that is and where that needs to be. And it could show you in terms of, and I spelled Aries wrong and I just noticed that, so that I can't change it, sorry. That bothers me. So anyway, so for you Geminis, you know, there could be this push-pull, there could be this push to look at 11th house themes, where your hopes are, your wishes, your dreams, your aspirations of where you want to go, and the people that you want to be surrounding yourself with. It's also under revision in the 11th house anyway, because Mars is going retrograde there. You're cutting away people from your life that you you know, that no longer serve you, that don't have your best interest at heart. Okay, so, and this is also working with kids that kind of, you know, this could be your hobbies, your children, the things that you love to do. You need to balance both of those in your life. But there could be a very touchy, very hurtful situation that arises this coming week in terms of your social status in the groups, and your status out in the world. So just so you know, you're aware of that. Jeez. And I'm sorry, my voice is like not having a good time today. But again, we're in Libra season, so I'm trying to diminish the whole losing my voice thing, but it might happen. So for Cancer and for Cancer rising, man, when I was typing this, I spelled Aries wrong. This is the second slide that I've spelled Aries wrong that I've noticed. So for Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon, sun, mostly sun and rising. This is your 10th and your 4th house. So this is your legacy. Your 10th house is how you're known in the world, how people see you. You know, it's the top of your chart in terms of where your midhaven point should be. Your 10th house, this is the legacy that you want to leave behind after you're gone. This is how you want the world to know who you are, Cancer. And then your 4th house, this is what you come home to. You know, this is behind the scenes. This is your home, your roots, your property, this is even your ancestry, but this is also your parents, right? 10th and 4th house, this is your mother and your father. It's that type of energy. And so the full moon, in terms of, you know, what those represent in a chart, usually the sun represents the father and the moon represents the mother. That has changed over the past several years. I've seen people, I've seen other astrologers say that for some people it doesn't show up that way at all, and it's kind of reversed. So however this shows up for you, this is your legacy, this is your career, this is your social standing, this is your public life, this is also your home, your family, your roots, your property, your ancestors, and your parents, right? So it is that energy, that dichotomy of 10th and 4th house. And this could see a crisis point, especially with that moon conjunct to Chiron during its fullness, right? When it comes exact, it's going to be at 9 degrees. And I would say this is definitely a crisis point in terms of your career. You could be facing something that you've been trying to work on things behind the scenes, and you've been working on, maybe you've been working on things behind the scenes, but now there's this crisis point of how you're being seen, how you're being known. And there could be some very touchy, very uncomfortable conversations that are going to be happening in terms of your 10th house and the career and the things that you do out in the world. Could be coming under fire, could be coming, I mean, especially with Mars there being retrograde, this is a revision of how you're known in the world in your 10th house. And so you could be, what you do in the world, because I know I have some Cancer rising friends that are very much into alternative medicine, and they're, you know, alternative doctors even, and working on their public standing in the world in terms of that changing. There could see, especially for any of the alternative doctors out there, could see their profession coming under fire from the mainstream. And so there is a touchiness there. There could be new rules, especially with Mars being retrograde, squaring all those other planets in the 7th house. There could be some revisions that are being made to the rules and what you can talk about and what you can say in terms of giving the public information of health, alternative health and whatnot for those that are, I mean, this is really specific, obviously, but I'm using it as an example. No matter what you do in life right now, in terms of being a Cancer rising, this is your 10th house. This is the most seen part of you, part of your chart, in terms of how you're known out in the world. And this could see that coming under fire. You know, this could see you, you know, being restricted in some way, or this could see you culminating and finishing something that you have been trying to finish to get yourself known out in the world as a Cancer rising. So there's that. So thank you, Cancer. So for Leo, hey, I spelled this one right. I'm noticing the slides. If you just jumped ahead to where you can see your sign, your rising sign, sun or moon, you'll notice that on a couple of the slides previous to this, I spelled Aries wrong. It's really bothering me, but I can't change it. So I'm not going to go back and re-record the entire video just because I spelled Aries wrong a couple of times. So there's that. We just got to roll with it and deal with it and get over it, right? Leo, come on, get over it. I'm a Leo rising, by the way. So this can see your 9th and your 3rd being affected in terms of the full moon. The full moon is in your 9th house. Aries is your 9th house. So you have Mars retrograde here, you have Chiron retrograde here, and now you're going to have a full moon. So whatever was happening 6 months ago in terms of 9th house themes, with the new moon that came in Aries, because you have to remember, when we're talking about the moon, we're talking about cycles, and the moon is our satellite to this planet, right? So the moon, even though it doesn't have its own light, it reflects back to us what it is that we see. It's how we perceive things on a subjective, emotional level. And this moon in Aries, the moon in Aries is already uncomfortable just because it's Aries, and the moon this is not a triplicity for the moon. This is not even a duplicity. This is very uncomfortable. This is squaring its own sign. And the moon in Aries is very uncomfortable, but it's very focused on my physical needs being met in terms of your primal needs, like your sense of security, your sense of safety, your sense of well-being, right? You need the shelter, you need the food, you need the water, you need those basic human needs, or those basic needs in general in terms of, you know, moon and Aries. So this full moon in the 9th house, conjunct Chiron, this is your belief systems, your higher education. This could be either, you know, diploma or certification in terms of what it is that you're going for. Certification program, school. This is also marketing, learning. For the 3rd house, where the sun is in Libra, this is childhood education. This is your siblings, this is your neighbors, this is your vehicles, this is your cousins. This is how you think, speak, and communicate to this area of your chart anyway. So this is how you think in terms of the sun is in Libra in your 3rd house. This is of the mind. The 9th house is, so the 3rd house is the details. The 9th house is the higher belief system. And as an example of what's going on, say for me, as a Leo rising, I'm taking a couple of different courses this year or this fall. And, you know, Mars is retrograde in Aries right now. So it's shifting my perspective of the world in terms of what it is that I'm learning, and my viewpoint on how the world operates and how the world is structured. So there's definitely, for me as a Leo, I can say that this is, I'm not going to say what courses I'm taking, just because, well, one of the courses I'm taking is another astrology course. It's a little bit of a different take. It's an interesting course, but I'm not done with it yet, and I want to really dig in a little more and understand whether or not I'm going to pick up pieces of it, or whether or not I'm going to go with the program longer term. I still haven't decided yet, but going through it, it's definitely shifting my perspective on the signs, on the symbols, on the characteristics of each sign, and understanding a more subtle, more nuanced, more vibration of them. So there is that. So there could be, Leo, you're shifting your viewpoint on the world and how the world operates, and understanding the broader, bigger picture. This could be a crisis point too, or a completion of something that started back in March in terms of that new moon in Aries to the full moon in Aries now. So what is it that was happening for you back in March? Think about that, because I know I personally was thinking about taking more astrology courses and different courses in general, just to understand more, because I have a stellium in my third house. So these energies in the cardinal signs is creating a grand cardinal cross for me. And it's very much eviscerating my long held beliefs, and very much eviscerating my ego in such a way that I'm almost a child looking at, the stars for the first time, right? Like, that wonder when you show a child something for the very first time, and just the wonder and the awe that's there. And so that's what's happening for me on a personal level in terms of being a Leo rising, and what's going on with cardinal signs as well, because even though it's not the angles, it's still going to affect your viewpoint on life. It's still going to affect how it is that you're showing up in terms of what you believe and the details that it takes to get to that bigger picture. So that's what this full moon is saying, is just you need to understand how you're communicating, and the word choices that you're using may not be reflective of that bigger viewpoint that you have in the world. And maybe you need to come back into balance with that. With the Chiron there, this is shedding light on areas this is shedding light on the ninth house themes of your belief system. Even foreigners, if you're married to a foreigner, this could be representative of that person, or this could be representative of foreign people coming in at you, maybe not in a so nice way, maybe in a nice way. You don't know. I don't know. It depends on how the rest of your chart is set up. So there's all kinds of different things here, but really it's just about changing your mindset and getting back to that place of wonder with the world. Like, even with all of this heavy energy going on, even with all of this, I mean, there's a chance for, especially the fire signs, Leo, Sagittarius, even Aries. I mean, it's rough. It's really, really rough. But in the end, what is this showing us about society? What is this showing us about ourselves? What is this showing us about what it is that we believe, and where we're willing to show up for that, and whether or not we're willing to back that up with action, right? That's what Aries is. Aries is action. Mars is action. The moon is emotional action, right? But conjunct Chiron, this could see our feelings coming under fire, or getting hurt, really, in this area of our life. And how that looks definitely depends on how your chart is set up. So Leos, keep working on changing your viewpoint, right? Keep working on understanding the details and understanding how those details fit into the big picture of the world at large. So for Virgo and Virgo rising, this is your 8th and your 2nd. So for Virgo risings, this full moon is in your 8th house. The 8th house in and of itself is other people's money, loans, taxes, inheritances, insurance claims, lawsuits, even if you have had an ongoing lawsuit since March. So in terms of full moons, every time there's a new moon in a sign, 6 months later or so, there's a full moon in that sign. So whether or not it was from this new moon cycle or it was from previous new moon cycles, this is a completion point. This is a wrapping up. This is a release, a letting go, pulling the trigger on something and ending something if need be, however this looks for you, however this looks in your chart. So this is also how you yourself make your money, your self-worth, your values, your personal held belief system of what you offer to the table in terms of your value and what you do. And that's where the personal things and stuff comes in at, on the page here, because this is what is your worth? What is your value? Do you not value yourself, and do you give away, you know, your value? This full moon in Aries conjunct Chiron. If you're, you know, if you have any personal planets between 6 and 12 degrees, this is really going to be affecting you, pretty much in terms of 6 and 12 degrees of Libra, 6 and 12 degrees of Aries, or even 6 and 12 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer, right? Because that will create a square aspect. But this is asking, this is either a completion of, or this is a letting go of something. So say, you know, you are getting a grant and you've been working on getting that grant since March of this past year. You know, this could see that money actually coming in, but it's not going to come in the way that you expect, and it's going to reach a crisis point, and it's going to reach a critical point. Maybe it doesn't come in. Maybe something happens and the government says, oh, no, sorry, the money's not there anymore, you get crap. And you're left holding the bag of an expense that you just made, a big expense that you just made, and the money's not going to come in. Or this could see, you know, maybe government comes in and says, yeah, hey, you know, these taxes that you filed, yeah, we're going to audit you now, right now. You know, I mean, it could be that, not to scare anybody, right? Like, who wants the government auditing their taxes? Yeah. Anyway, sorry. You have to understand how my mind works in order to understand why I'm giggling about that, because I am very much anti-establishment. This could see an inheritance coming in. This could see, you know, insurance claims. Say, you know, something happens and, you know, I mean, I know some Virgo risings that are farmers. Say, you know, something happens to some of your animals, or something happens to your barn. You know, this could see either an addition happening or insurance money coming in from, you know, something bad that happened, right? But this could see positive too. Like maybe you need to take out a loan to do an addition on your barn, right? So this could be a culmination and a completion. It's not going to be without issues. It's going to definitely be hurting you in some way in terms of other people's things, other people's perhaps value of you is under review or at culmination point, at crisis point. So the full moon in Aries for Libra, this is happening in your 7th house and in your 1st house. So the sun right now is in Libra. So this is you. This is your body. This could affect other aspects of your life as well, what you come home to, what you're going out into the world with. But this is definitely, this full moon is a crisis point or a culmination point in terms of your relationships, your one-on-one relationships, your partnerships, your business partnerships. This is your, you know, you and other, whoever that is in your life right now. So this could see you you know, I mean, with Aries retrograde with Mars retrograde in Aries, this could see you reevaluating certain relationships in your life. This could see you reevaluating your partnerships that you have in your life. This could see, you know, if you're in the service industry, this could see you reevaluating the structure in terms of your clients and who you're allowing to come in as a client and who you're not, or whether or not you need to back off from taking on any clientele or any new clients and maybe sticking with what you have. With this full moon though, this full moon in Aries with Chiron, this could be showing you where it is, that, I mean, especially because, you know, the moon rules your 10th house of career and how you're seen in the world. This could see you being hurt and feeling uncomfortable, having to let clients know or let, you know, your partner know that something that's going on at work, and it's uncomfortable for you. There's some type of uncomfortability with this Chiron, this you know, wounded healer. But this can see, you know, this can see great healing in terms of this part of your life. This can see you know, healing your relationship to other, even though it is Aries and it's, you know, it's very much yeah, that automatic young energy in terms of your relationships with other people. So there's a balance that needs to be struck, right? And I mean, you're a Libra, you know all about balance. You know, depending on what else is going on in your chart and depending on where other planets are in your chart, this is seeing an uncomfortability in terms of your relationships with other people and how you're showing up out in the world with that moon, especially since the moon does rule your 10th house. So there could be an uncomfortability, something that you need to talk about, something that you need to get, you know, off your chest. This could be a finalization of something you've been working on in terms of partnership. You know, maybe you're entering into a marriage. Maybe your significant other proposed, or you are the significant other and you're proposing, you know, as a Libra rising. That could be seen too with this. And there's a healing that's happening because of that, right? Because Chiron is the wounded healer. So maybe you've been wounded in the past by relationships and by partnerships, and now someone is in your life that is healing that and helping you heal that. And it's profound and it's life-changing. And, you know, maybe your life partner has entered your life and it's an area of, you know, contention for you. And now, like, it's healed and it's good and you're golden and you're on cloud 9, you know? So there's that kind of energy too. It could show up in a multitude of ways, just depending on how the rest of your chart is shown up, or is how the rest of your chart is and where the planets are. So Scorpio, this is your 6th and your 12th. This is your health, your work, your daily habits, your routines, against the hidden things, the self-sabotage, the endings, the hospitals, the dreams, the behind the scenes, you know. So this could see, with this full moon in Aries, I mean, you're under revision anyway on your daily health habits and routines, with Mars being retrograde there and with Chiron being there. It's a contention point, a sore point. So what this can see happening is, you know, there's a crisis point, or there's, I mean, with Chiron here, it depends obviously on you and what you've been doing and how you've been showing up in the world. But this could see instantaneous healing with this full moon, right? You could see, because it is with Chiron and Chiron is the wounded healer, this could see a completion of something that you've been working on in terms of your body, in terms of your habits and your routines and your health and your mental health. And maybe this full moon lights up that 6th house and you're like, oh my God, I never realized this. And it's healed, whatever it is, on a level, on a physical level. This is healing your body. Or this could see, you know, this could see self-sabotage coming in with the sun up in your 12th house. This is illuminating how you're sabotaging yourself and where you're limiting yourself or not showing up. Or this could show you where your karmic influences are coming from. And so there's this, you know, with full moons, there's the balance that needs to be struck between, you know, your energy and your fire and your passion in terms of the sun, your emotional needs, your emotional wants, your emotional desires, what you need to feel safe. So maybe something happens and you don't feel safe in terms of, especially with that Chiron there, maybe something happens and you're hurt and you need to go to the hospital. And, you know, so there is that energy there too. And, you know, depending on how the rest of your chart is set up, it depends on how this is going to show up for you. So I'm just, you know, in general, and especially, you know, with Mars there, he's retrograde, squaring Saturn, it's tough. And you're having to make sure that you are following all the rules, and you're having to make sure that you're not shortcutting your healing, really, and like your body, your mental capacity and all that. So that's Scorpio and Scorpio rising. So for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this is a little bit more fun. I mean, this is your 5th house. This is your hobbies, you know, the things that you love to do just because you love to do them. This is your romantic partnerships, right? If you're not married and you have a love affair, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, you know, this can show up that way too. This can be children. This can be play. This is where your fun time, right? This is your joy, your creative endeavors. Endeavors? Yep. My new lips, I can't speak. So this is your creative endeavors. And this can see, you know, your social groups, your status, your money from your career, or an online business, even if you have an online business. So with the full moon here, the sun is in your 11th house in Libra, right? So the 11th house is, it's showing where you want to excel. It's showing where you are focusing your energy, focusing your drive, your ambition, your goals, right? Because the sun is that ever burning energy. And when it travels around the zodiac, it puts light where you need to focus or what you're focusing on. So this could see you focusing on an online business. This could see you focusing on the money and the material wealth coming in from that 10th house. This could also see you focusing on the people that you surround yourself with by choice. Maybe, you know, you've divested of people out of your life, or maybe you see that there's different people coming in that are supporting you and your hobbies and your endeavor, the things that you love to do. Maybe, you know, you have kids and there's new people coming in that are helping you with your kids or helping you with your hobbies or helping you with the things that you love to do, right? And these people are very supportive and very loving and very nurturing. And maybe there's something in that 5th house that needs to be healed with that Chiron there, right? With this full moon and with Chiron, this could be instantaneous healing of, you know, being able to show up how you want to show up, right? Because the 5th house is our expression of self. And this is for you, this is Aries. This is very much that go-getter energy. This is very much that joy, right? So, I mean, Aries in the 5th house, I'm kind of jealous of Sagittarius, right? You guys get Aries as your 5th house. This is like go-getter energy. Don't step on you, Sagittarius, because, right? You're done. You're just done, right? Depending on where your Mars is too. But for Sag risings, I mean, this is changing, you know, the things that you value in terms of what you love and how you're, you know, the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So, I mean, I know there's a couple of Saggies I know that they're definitely going through this, and their values are changing in terms of what they love to do. Like they've discovered something in themselves that just glows, and they see it, right? Especially with this Mars going retrograde here in the 5th house. This is revising what it is that you value in terms of the things that you love to do just because you love to do them. So this could be healing this part, especially with this full moon with Chiron, like something that could have happened. And yes, that cup says I love you more than I love bacon. So this could see you revising some area of your life in terms of how you're expressing yourself and how you're showing up for the other people that are in your social circle too as well. This could see that shifting and changing, but in positive ways. I mean, Sag rising, there's, you know, this is good. I'm really excited for Sag risings. Like, I want to see what's going to happen with them, and especially with the friends that I have that are Sag risings. Just because they are going through this transformation. This is like a transformation, right? This is transformation energy. This 5th house, whenever the 5th house is lit up, this is showing you how you can express yourself in different ways. And this is awesome. I love self-expression. Obviously, I'm a Leo rising, right? So, Saggies, you're evaluating how it is that you're showing up and what it is that you love to do just because you love to do it, and the people that you're surrounding yourself with will follow. It's really just that simple. Or maybe even it's the reverse of that. People that are showing up are showing you what your passions are and showing you where you light up and where your joy is, right? Saggies, get it. Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So this is in your 4th and your 10th. So Aries is your 4th house, and that's where this full moon is happening. This is what you're coming home to. This is your property, your family, your ancestors, your safety, your security, versus how you're showing up in the world, your public standing, your career, and your legacy. So what this full moon is for you is very much behind the scenes, Capricorn. You know, you've been working on you. The world has been working on you. I'm just going to put that out there. And so with Mars going retrograde in your 4th house, and now you have a full moon with Chiron, I mean, this could be, I just see this as healing energy, honestly. Like, this is healing the home, the property. This is healing what you come home to. This is healing family ties. This is healing very much that behind the scenes. This is healing you at a core root level, because what is our 4th house? Our 4th house is where we root down, right? It's where you know, we get plucked from where we live, you know, when we move, and then we have to lay down roots. This is that. And maybe for you, this is healing. This is that instantaneous healing with this full moon, this completion of an area of your life that there's been sore spots. There's been, you know, tumultuous times. There's been hurt and pain. And now with this full moon with Chiron, this could see healing in that 4th house. You know what I mean? What you come home to versus, you know, with the sun up in Libra, up in your 10th house, of how you're showing up in the world. So there's a spotlight on how you're showing up, but then there's this healing that's happening behind the scenes that maybe no one will ever know about, especially Capricorn. You guys are so secretive. I don't care. I'm just going to put that out there. I know plenty of Cappy risings that are so secretive about it. Like, come on. Anyway, be secretive. I don't care. I love you anyway. But this could see some really massive healing on that core level, on that root level, on that behind the scenes, what you come home to and what you value in terms of, you know, where you lay down your roots. You want to feel safe. You want to feel secure. You haven't really had that over the last few years. And now it could be a culmination point of, yeah, you know, I actually do feel safe now. And it could be a healing of some kind, you know, in terms of maybe a rift with your family, or maybe, you know, just family in general, and your home. There could be a healing that happens. So that's for Capricorn and Capricorn rising. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this full moon in Aries is in your 9th and your 3rd. So for Aquarius risings, Aries is your 3rd house of how you think, how you speak, how you communicate. This is, you know, early education. This is siblings. This is cousins. This is traveling within your community. This is your neighbors. This is how you think and how you speak, right? Versus that 9th house Libra energy of higher education, right? So higher education, travel, foreigners, your belief systems, like that soapbox that you stand up on, right? This could be marketing, you know. So for Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this is shedding light. Maybe there's a healing that has happened with your siblings, right? Especially with this full moon with Chiron. This is where we're focusing, right, for this week. Chiron is where it is that we hurt. Maybe one of our siblings, and, you know, I'm not an Aquarius rising. I don't know why I was just going to put myself as an Aquarius rising. But if you're an Aquarius sun, moon rising, right, like, this is your siblings, and maybe there's a rift that happened at some point with your siblings, and this full moon with Chiron, this is healing that. This is showing you, and you understand emotionally what it is that you need and what it is that your siblings need. This is showing you that 10,000 foot view with the sun up in your 9th house of saying, oh, okay, you know, I understand all the details down here in the 3rd house, and I understand, you know, where it is that we have been in conflict together, you know, with your siblings or with your neighbors, or, you know, maybe with foreigners even, with this full moon in your 3rd and your 9th house. This is, you know, vehicles too. Like, maybe you had a vehicle breakdown, or you got into a car accident. With Mars retrograde here, who knows, right? Like, maybe you did get into a car accident and you had a fender bender, and then now the insurance company is going to come out and say, hey, you know what, you get this whole new car. Or maybe you have to have the car fixed, right? Like, there's different things that can go on with that. But in terms of this full moon with your third house, and Chiron here, this is very healing. This can see you understanding where your thought patterns have led you astray, or where you have been biased to certain ways of thinking. And now you understand that not everybody thinks like you, not everyone understands the world, that ninth house, as you do. So you understand where it is that you maybe have had some contention points with people in your community, or people in your family, your immediate family, with your siblings or your cousins, or maybe where it is that your viewpoint has kind of been off in terms of, you know, how you view the bigger picture, the larger world stage. Damn, the longer I go through these signs, the less I can speak. Sorry about this, guys. So, you know, maybe there's definitely some type of healing going on with this Chiron, with this full moon with Chiron. And so there's like this need, this desire, this want, this feeling of needing to be safe, and understanding in your mind where it is that you need to change the way you think, right? That's all that's saying, especially with Mars going retrograde here in this, in your third house as well. This is you rethinking and understanding in terms of where your brain has led you astray. For Pisces and Pisces rising, this is happening in your second and in your eighth house. So this is your finances. This is your self-value. This is your self-worth. This is your things, your possessions, right? Your interests. This is how you yourself make your money. And this is also with this full moon up in, with the sun up in your eighth house, this is also putting a light on other people's money, your taxes, your inheritance, your insurances. This could be lawsuits. But a full moon is a culmination point or a completion point of what was seeded 6 months ago when we had that new moon in Aries. So what this is saying to you, it's saying that maybe you have, you know, especially with Aries being retrograde here in your second house, this can see you revising your self-worth, revising how it is that you feel that you can contribute to the world, to, you know, with money. Maybe there's a healing that's happening in terms of how you value money, because ultimately money is tied to our self-worth, right? Like, people don't want to admit that, they don't want, but money is tied to our self-worth. And so maybe you've had some bad habits, but with this full moon with Chiron, maybe this is shedding light on where it is that you need to change your values, or where it is that you need to heal. This could be instantaneous healing as well, in terms of your self-worth. This could see you cutting off at the head the sabotage that you've been doing in terms of your values, and where it is that you know, you've been giving away your value, and now it's time to set the boundaries, because Pisces I have a Pisces moon, I know this. Pisces have a hard time with boundaries. Pisces very much have a very hard time with boundaries and setting those boundaries and sticking to them, because that sense of self-worth, right? Like, well, if I set this boundary and then people leave my life, you know, what is that? But this could see a healing in terms of, you know, how you yourself value you, right? You need to value you. Nobody else needs to value you. You need to value you. So I don't know any other way to word that. Not firing on all 10 cylinders today, people, okay? I love you. And I want to get this video out because I made a commitment to myself, right? This is commitment. This is self-value. This is self-worth. This is that moon placement that I have of valuing what it is that I'm doing. So and who I am. So Pisces rising, this could see you, you know, healing your value system, healing yourself in terms of your money, your material, your possessions in the world, and what it is that you do value in terms of what it is that you possess. So there is that. And then with the sun up in the 8th house, this is other people. This is shedding a light on where it is that you need to come into balance in terms of other people's money and your money, and other people's value of you and your value of you. So it could see a very deep, very psychological, very emotional healing of your self-worth, your value systems, your monies and materials in the world. So that being said, I am going to stop sharing. And I am going to say that is all for this week. And I hope that this was helpful. If you like the video, please like the video, share the video, subscribe. I will be putting out a video every single week. And maybe this fall I will be doing some different videos. I'm thinking there's other stuff I have percolating in the back of my head that I want to get out. So I hope you all have a great week, and thank you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.